Josh Berry won.
Who?
At Las Vegas.
I thought it was Josh Bilicki.
I thought it was Josh Allen.
He'd probably be a better race car driver.
Montel.
The defensive end for Jacksonville?
Yes.
That dude sucks.
He's terrible.
I think he's a linebacker.
Most players for Jacksonville are terrible.
Except for a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know anymore, jackass.
That receiver's pretty good.
Isn't he gone now? No, you're talking about the LSU receiver.
Justin Blackman.
He played
he
at
still
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, but he went to Jacksonville, though, and
No,
sucked.
he didn't.
He got
went to
drafted.
Cleveland.
He got drafted by
Twafted?
Jacksonville.
No, he didn't. Did he really?
$10.
I don't. Whatever. I'll believe you. Even though I think you're wrong.
Blake Bortles still there?
Yeah. He did take him to almost to his damn Super Bowl.
What about David Garrard?
Gerard?
Gerard.
It
It is Gerard, but it should be Gerard.
Yeah, I don't think he's there either. He's no, that's Byron Leftwich. He was another
We're
one.
supposed to be talking about NASCAR.
Yeah, you're the one that started this shit.
Josh Berry won at Viva Las Vegas this weekend. What a interesting race. It was a very strange race.
I said on my review it was drunk.
Yeah,
That
the race was drunk. The pit crews were hungover from the night before on the Las Vegas Strip. Bunch of drivers made mistakes uncharacteristically. Bunch of pit crew members made some uncharacteristic mistakes. Saw some first-time things on pit road that I've never seen before. The top 10 was drunk.
For most of the race.
Yeah.
Especially at the end.
I mean, it was untimely cautions. Like, every caution that came out screwed somebody. There was never one that, like, everybody, had to pit or whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of jumbled up the field, and you had some guys get stuck laps down. And, it was a weird, A.J. Allmendinger with a top 10, Josh Berry winning, Ryan Preece third, the 99 finished second. Just a weird day. No Joe Gibbs cars in the top 10. That
was great.
I thought you were supposed to quit talking shit about Toyota.
Huh?
You were supposed to talk.
I just said observation. It was great.
Yeah, but
it was great. It was great to see all those underdogs finish in the top 10. That's what I meant.
And it was. I wouldn't even say it was that great of a race, but it was interesting to see how the strategies were going to play out, and if it was going to come down to fuel strategy like Joey winning the race last year in the fall, and didn't end up coming down to fuel mileage because caution did come out and they were able to save. And it was interesting. It was good to see Josh get the win. Been a fan of his since he was driving late models for Dale Earnhardt, and I've seen him race a late model before he even made it to the Xfinity Series several times. So it's always good to see those guys make their way up and get a shot. And he got his off of merit. He didn't have $1 billion backing him, and he didn't bring a ton of sponsorship to Junior when he got in that Xfinity car, and he took off right away and ended up getting that shot at.
He got shot.
Getting a shot at Stewart last year, and that was a kind of a screwy situation, and he made the best of it. Had some good runs in that car, and was competitive at the short tracks, and even some of the mile and a half stuff he was quick at, and he's probably been one of the best Fords this year in that 21 car, and this is not a fluke win. He's been fast everywhere. Now, granted, this is the first real racetrack we've been to, but he was fast at Daytona. He was fast at Atlanta. He was fast at Coda, which he's not even a.
He was. I don't even.
He wasn't terrible at Coda.
Got a top 5 last week.
Top 5 last week at Phoenix. Had a shot to win that race if things got screwy at the end, and puts himself in the position to win the race this weekend, and does. That's the old adage in racing. You run top 10, top 5. Eventually, one's going to fall into your lap. And maybe he didn't deserve it. He wasn't the fastest car Sunday. But, like I said, you run top 10, top 5. Eventually, you're going to grab one. And, he was in the right position at the right time when a caution fell, and he was just a little bit better than the 99 at the end, and worked his way past him and ran off and hid. So, I would say the racing on the track, other than the screwiness on pit road and the random cautions coming out, was maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. Dirty air was a big problem. for a lot of guys. There was a bunch of guys that were losing the nose and washing up into folks, and it was interesting on the restarts, but once things kind of got spread out, it was difficult, and it's just because the cars are so close now. Whoever gets the lead is going to keep the lead for the most part, unless you're just a lot better than them. Joey got the lead, and he wasn't the best car, and he ran off and hid. And Cindric got the lead, and he definitely wasn't the best car, and he ran off and hid. And then Larson, which may have been the best car, led some laps. And it's just one of those races that, dirty air was a big factor, and no one likes to see that. But even with that being said, the racing wasn't terrible. There was some side-by-side. There were some battles, and it was interesting. Overall, with all the screwiness and the dirty air and everything, I'm going to give the race a 7 out of 10. But seeing Josh Berry get a good finish, and, Chris and Brad, they didn't run that good all day, but, 11th and 12th for those guys, or 11th and 13th, something like that. And then Priest with a third-place finish, matching his best finish ever. So, good day for my guys. Good to see Josh Berry win, and overall, it was a decent enough race. Not one to write home about, but it'll always be memorable because it was Josh's first win.
It was awesome to see Josh win at Vegas. Glad he passed Daniel there at the end. I'd rather have him win than Daniel for sure. But I give credit to Daniel, man. He had a pretty fast car all day.
He's been good all year.
Yeah, he's had some speed.
Just no finishes.
Yeah, he just can't put the finishes together. Some his fault, some not. Obviously, the Catherine Legg one last week wasn't his fault. Just wrong place at the wrong time. But give credit to Daniel. Now, he couldn't be able to hold on to the lead. Josh just had a better car than him on the short run for sure. And Daniel couldn't quite catch him after that. But, yeah, the whole race was just very weird. It was entertaining. It was fun to watch. Kind of wondered what was going to happen next. The problem that I think I figured out with Las Vegas and this car, yes, mile and a halves are probably the best product with this car. Best racing, but Las Vegas, because of the tight corners and the such fast middle speed
and the bumps,
like track position is so huge. It's like a 550 race almost again, where you have to keep the track position. You only saw a couple guys all day long be able to hold on or come back up through the field after they lost it. Blaney never had it to begin with. Then he got called up in that wreck late in this race. He's finally able to sniff the top 5 like he's going to be able to challenge for the win until that wreck happened. But he was an outlier. I mean, we saw Joey go to the back. Once he lost that track position, he could hardly move up through the field. Same thing with Cindric.
The 11 was stuck back.
11, the 9. 20. I mean, when he got a speeding penalty, you never saw him again. So it was very difficult to make your way up through the field unless your car just did things that other cars couldn't do and other drivers couldn't do. So that's what I'm kind of figuring out with Vegas. Like, this is probably the most track position centered mile and a half that we go to. You have to have the track position if you're going to contend for the win late. You're just not going to drive up from 15th to the lead in 50 laps. It's just, even if you have the best car, you're just not going to do it. So, that's just something we're going to have to get used to and just kind of expect from here on out. We've seen it enough the past couple of years. And, it's not the best mile and a half. It's definitely a good mile and a half, but this car is just, it's a little off. It's a little wanky. It's how the race was. The car with this track is just a little wanky. So, but congratulations to Josh. I was, had a good time watching him and Daniel battle clean. No shenanigans were done, when he got inside of Daniel. So kudos to both of those guys.
He was inside Daniel?
He was inside him. I got to see it on TV.
No diddy.
But, yeah, it was a clean finish and, happy for Josh. Like I said, like you said, I mean, I remember watching him I think I watched him at Greenville Pickens one time in a K&N series race for Dale a few years ago.
He won a Cars Tour race there that I was at.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's cool to see guys that you watched when you were younger come up through the ranks and, he's an old second-year guy.
Yeah.
He's 32 years old, so he's only got probably another
10 years.
10 years left of, maybe not even 10 years of his prime. Maybe only got about another 5 or 6 years of his prime left in him. So it's good to see Josh late start in the Cup Series. I think he had the talent to be in this series 5-6 years ago. Just sponsorships,
opportunities.
It just didn't work out for him until Dale gave him the big shot in the Xfinity Series a couple of years ago. So cool to see Josh win. And overall, this shakes up the playoff points. I know it's too early to talk about playoffs and all that stuff, but I mean, he was a guy that not a lot of people had on their bingo card for the playoffs this year.
Well, that 21 car has been
awful
with Harrison Burton. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were on pace to finish 35th in points last year.
Till
Like,
they won
the
at Daytona.
worst full-time car. Like, Rick Ware cars were faster than that car
Justin
last
Haley
year.
and all them were better than him for most of the year.
And, they got lucky and won that Daytona race. That money might have
Which
helped them this year. But
I was about to say it probably helped him out.
But Josh Berry is a better race car driver than Harrison Burton.
And I got to give credit to Harrison, man. He's done pretty good in that 25 car for AM
Which
Racing.
was the worst car in the Xfinity
And
Series
he's like 13th in points.
Yeah.
He was running top 10 at Vegas for a lot of the races that I saw. So I think it was just kind of a need to move for Harrison
maybe
and,
not a
and
good
Wood
fit.
Brothers. Yeah,
I think
too
if
much pressure on them and all that
I
stuff.
think if Harrison would have got into a better car that he didn't feel like he had to overdrive it to accomplish what he needed to do, I think he'd have been okay.
And he sees his two other teammate or quote unquote
winning
teammates in Logano
championships.
and Blaney winning championships,
Yep.
and he's just like, he just can't do it. He's just wasn't capable of it.
But yeah, Josh Berry, first win for Ford this year, wins before the past two champions, win before all the Roush cars, which is surprising.
Front row.
Yeah,
We
and
thought people front row would be a problem.
you said that Vegas, is kind of wonky. I will say this: it is probably the worst racing mile and a half that we have, in my opinion.
With the next gen car?
Yeah, but I will say
I think the Xfinity race was amazing.
the Xfinity race is very good there every year. Wasn't that where Ryan Sieg should have won last year?
That was Texas.
That was Texas.
We forgot about Texas. Texas is still the worst.
Texas is the worst. The second worst mile and a half racing wise. But I do enjoy the Vegas race just because it gives you something different. You used to see a mile and a half and they'd all race the same. Now they all kind of have their own characteristics.
Oh, yeah.
Charlotte races different than Kansas. Kansas races different from Vegas. Texas is different than all of them. Atlanta, they're all different now, and that's good because
If you bring Chicagoland back, it'd be different.
it would be. It'd probably be closer to Kansas. I think it'd kind of
Which is fine. It's the
which
best
is
track
good
in the
because it's the
circuit.
best racetrack that this next gen goes to. But they're all a little bit different. And back in the day, everybody complained about the mile and a halves because they were cookie cutter and they all raced the same. At least on TV.
Do you think, I've just thought about this, do you think all these complaints, when we were younger, because I was in that same boat. Oh, God, we're going to
Oh, it's because
Charlotte
Jimmy
today.
Johnson wanted every one of them.
or we're going to Vegas, or we're going to Chicago, or Texas, and you're like, oh. All these tracks kind of got built around the same time.
Yeah.
All these tracks are wearing out to where they got their own characteristics 20 years later.
Yeah.
Is that a reason why they're
sure.
so good now?
Yeah, definitely.
Just needed time.
Yeah, and,
NASCAR jumped the gun, taking all of them away.
and the car helps a little bit because the cars are a little bit closer, so you get a little bit closer racing. The tires got they race a little bit differently. So short tracks I think need to be tire management races, but it used to be that you'd have to manage your tires at every mile and a half. You'd have to control the throttle on every mile and a half, which is good. But the racing that you see in the next gen car, I think, is so good at these mile and a halves because, like you said, they're getting a little bit older now, and they have their own individuality.
Yeah, characteristics.
They're all different, and the cars are close enough that you have to keep track position a lot of the time, and the cars are able to run a little bit closer together, side by side. Even better than the 550 package, in my opinion. So I think it's a combination of everything, and a combination that there isn't as many of them. So we're okay with kind of a more boring race at a mile and a half because it's still better than most of the short tracks and road courses. So it's just a combination of things for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
You never gave your ranking on the race.
6.5.
About the same.
Yeah, it was the racing product, like you said. The racing product itself wasn't great. but it had enough moments. The pit road shenanigans where you didn't know who was going to mess up next.
Everybody had a
I
problem.
mean, about everybody did. No, I said on the race review, I said nobody wanted to win this race.
Yeah.
It was good. Not saying Josh Berry was given this race, but a lot of top contenders, whether it was speeding on pit road, the teams messing up the pit stops, or just bad cautions at the wrong time during green flag pit stops, kind of took them out of it. It was just kind of perfect storm for Daniel and Josh, who did nothing bad all day and just kind of hung around and was able to take advantage.
Which sometimes is what you need to do. Like I said, you hang around the top 5, one's going to fall into your lap, and that's what happened.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with Josh Berry winning, it was a very popular win on Sunday. I haven't heard Dale Jr. because Dale Jr.'s podcast on it yet. I know it dropped.
It just dropped
today, so be interesting to hear how Jr. felt about it. I'm sure he was very happy about it. But seeing a lot of guys tweet about it after the race, saying couldn't happen to a better guy. Denny Hamlin even said on his podcast, it's good to see a guy that wasn't, kind of from money, had to work his way up, kind of like I did
on merit,
and get a win. So Denny was even happy for Josh. And it just seems like a good old boy winning a race, which we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
So this kind of a question, could Josh Berry become kind of he won't be Chase Elliott. He won't be even probably Blaney or Larson. But could he be kind of that next tier of popularity in this Cup Series based off working his way up, this ties with Dale Jr., which I know is probably the biggest reasons. But could Josh be kind of getting that running for a top 5 popular driver in the sport?
I think so. I don't think he's ever going to, like you said, I don't think he'll ever be the most popular just because there's guys like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson and guys like that out there that are just always going to be popular. And I think if he got in a Hendrick car or something like that, that would boost it. I think top 5, that second tier is probably where he's going to be. And the thing about Josh Berry is I don't know anybody that dislikes him. And you kind of spoke on that it was a popular win and that all the drivers are happy for him. But I don't know any fan that looks at that win and goes, fuck, why did Josh Berry, fuck Josh Berry. Like, you don't hear
Other
that.
than maybe you're a Daniel Suarez fan.
Yeah, you're upset. You're upset that
something.
Suarez loses the race, but you're not
mad that Josh
won. You're not, fucking Josh Berry. You're, just saying, damn, I wish my guy would have won.
He was inside of Daniel, remember?
He was. But, yeah, I think he's in that second tier. I'm trying to think of a guy back in the day that would have, fit that bill. Maybe a Matt Kenseth before he went to Gibbs.
Oh, there's a lot of people. I didn't like Matt Kenseth when I was a kid.
I didn't know. Maybe I was, just biased, but I didn't know a ton of guys.
He's kind of like, obviously, way less credentials, but kind of like a Terry Labonte.
Sure, maybe.
Obviously, Terry's got 2 championships and like
nobody
18
dislikes
wins.
Terry.
Yeah, nobody dislikes him,
or even Bobby.
Yeah,
but,
so it's kind of like he's got that
or,
southern
or Ken Schrader.
There was plenty of people that hated Ken Schrader after a certain event. I remember.
I don't recall. What about Dale? He's all right, ain't he?
He was not.
Damn. R.I.P.
There goes all the Dale Senior fans.
Yeah, R.I.P. But yeah, I mean, Josh is good and he's likable. So yeah, I think he should be more popular than those guys that you mentioned because Chase Elliott is a whiny bitch and Kyle Larson's a racist. So.
Great insight right there on why he should be the most popular. Good insight there. Do you think he wins another race this year?
Maybe. Based on the speed that he's had, there's no reason he can't. And
Las Vegas, to be fair, was one of his better tracks in the Xfinity
sure,
Series.
he's got
probably
2
his
wins
best
there.
mile and a half.
Yeah, he's got 2 wins there. But
he won a race at Charlotte too, in the
fast at Phoenix. Fast at the super speedway stuff. He's always been. He's a road course ringer, so he's going to be competitive there. Hell, he was in the top 5 at Bristol.
Road course ringer.
Did I say road course? Short track ringer. My apologies.
I'm about to say, I do not know Josh Berry to be no road course ringer.
I might have had a misslip there on my speech, but definitely a short track ringer.
There you go.
And
that sounds more
was
like
in the top 5 at Bristol, good at Phoenix, good at Martinsville. There's a lot of, and he's good at super speedway racing too. So I mean, there's a bunch of opportunity for him, and that car seems to be good enough for him to go out and compete everywhere. So it would not surprise me if he won another race. I'm not planning on it. You know, I don't think he'll be favored. You know, he's not going to be the favorite at any race, I don't think, unless, you know, he rattles off a couple.
The only track I could see him maybe being the favorite, one of the favorites would be Martinsville, because he's so good at that track. And Penske has been so good, at least Blaney has, the past couple of years. And it's pretty much the same equipment.
For sure.